Not understanding that's not who you are. That's just what you do or what you have. But defining your worth and discovering your worth, it's going to take you to do a few things. And, a few of the things I do talk about is, first, you got to identify the missing person. When
and accept that you done let this person just complete. I hear so many times, and especially with women, you hear so many times they'll say, oh, this relationship is over and I'm just devastated. I was just all wound up into him and in my kids, and now my kids are grown and I don't know what to do with myself. I'm like, but did you not realize that you had a self before you went to go through all that? And I talk to a lot of people before they get ready to get married. And one of the things that is so important in any kind of relationship, you have to come to the table full. You got to come full. You can't just come halfway in and, just be hungry and have a fork and all you want to do is just take. You have to have something to put on the table. Now, you went through all of this devastation. You've been homeless. You've lost your mother to AIDS. You've been evicted. You done slept in the back. You sit in the back of the church van.
The church van.
Well, at least you had sense enough to go be sleeping in the church van. You were someplace. You wasn't just down there on Skid Row someplace, but it's really important. How did you hold on to Mo?
Oh, wow. And that's a very good question.
Oh, thank you very much.
And I have to say that I remember the first night I slept in the back of that church van, and I laid on that seat, and it was a restless night because all my life I had always had a place to stay. I had always had food in my tummy, although it may have been, tough at times, but that was the first time I had ever experienced not having any money, not being in the city with no family, and the fair weather friend that told me, hey man, come on, we got you. You got a place to stay. And then I get there and it's like, hey man, I can't let you stay with me, my girl, all this kind of stuff that we hear from people that's supposed to be our friends. But
now, where were you? Where were you when that happened?
I was in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, isn't that something? Okay,
yep,
so you go down there on a friend's whim, and then he tells you after you done made this trek that you can't stay with him.
And it wasn't just one friend; it was a couple of them.
Well, shit. You know what? You really find out where your friends are and who they are and what you mean to them when you get down on your luck.
You right.
When you get down, they'll spread like flies spread like roaches when you turn the light on.
One day, it's crazy, but I have to say that I think leading up to that time, I had a sense in my gut that was going to be something that I was going to have to experience. I didn't know what for, but I had a sense in my gut because it was almost like hit and miss. I was staying with different people from the church. Time to time, I'll stay here one night, stay here the next night, stay there the next night. And I said, you know what? This is almost like going to Vegas with a little money. It's like a crapshoot. You could win and you could crap out. Mm-hmm. And I kind of just felt like it was gonna happen. And when it did happen, I literally said to God, I said, hey, you got me here. It must have had to happen. And but that's a twofold because it really did not have to happen. I actually had a person that wasn't my friend yet, but he was a great guy, and I could have asked him to stay with him that night because we had just went and played tennis. But my pride wouldn't let me do it for some reason, and I still believe it was part of God's will that it happened for me. But in the midst of that van, I said to myself, this is probably the lowest you'll ever be in your life, and there's only one way up from here, and that is up. One way out of here, and that's up.
Okay.
And so I think for me, I had that mental toughness, but I often share with people is the second thing I did the next day, because the next morning I got up early because I was really afraid that somebody from the church was going to find me in that van.
Oh, they didn't know you were sleeping in the van?
Oh, no, nobody knew. Nobody knew. And I thought they was going to find me and somebody was going to shoot me because they thought I was trying to steal the van. And so I didn't really sleep well that night because, I was scared. And so I got out of that van, and the church had opened up for, I think it was summer camp at that time. And I went into the church bathroom, cleaned myself up. And I got to a phone, and I actually called an ex-coworker of mine and shared with her that I was living on the street. And she said, "Hey, where are you? I'm going to come and get you this afternoon." She came by, got me, put me up in a hotel for a few days, gave me money to eat. Then one of the musicians from the church found out that that's where I was, and he in turn came over and kept me going. And you guys all know, because he's performed out here in L.A. forever, Pastor John P. Key out of Charlotte, North Carolina. That very night I went to church, he stood me up and he said, "God showed me you." He said, "Don't worry about the people that left. It had to happen. I know you lost your mother," because me and Pastor Key was very close at that time, so he knew about my mother passing away. And he gave me $1,000 that night. And I was able to get on my feet. And so what I often say to people is, I probably would still have been homeless and could possibly still be homeless today had I not let somebody know I needed assistance. Mm-hmm. So sometimes the very things that we need are in us just allowing people to know or see a little bit of our vulnerabilities and know that we actually need some assistance.
It's what you said earlier.
That's how I got out of that rut.
It's what you said earlier. Your pride would not let you, but pride goeth before the fall. We can never be too proud to ask for God's blessing. Ever. And we don't know who's going to be a blessing to us. Just like you're going to be blessing other people with your story, with your book, with your speeches. You were put here and drugged through hell so that you can be a blessing to people. Look, but sometimes we have to get drugged through hell. Now let's talk about how someone can revolutionize their destiny like you did.
Well, revolutionizing your destiny starts with and really it means transforming, but it starts with your mindset. I get so sick of people, we're into a new year and people talking about New Year's resolutions, and I'm saying, well, it's time for you to revolutionize, be revolutionary. And, when it comes to that, you have to change the way you think, and in changing the way you think, you'll change the way you speak, you'll change the way you act, you'll change the habits that you develop and create, and you will ultimately change the direction in which you go. So revolutionizing your destiny starts with you having a different mindset. Oftentimes, people will hear my story, or they'll see some of my successes, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'll never be able to do that." Well, chances are you won't, because they do what I say, Mother Love, is if you choke your potential before it has an opportunity to become a possibility, you'll never reach your destiny.
Why? Oh, I love that.
Oftentimes, we talk ourselves out of doing stuff before we even attempt to do it. We look at every obstacle that may come up, but sometimes they may not come up at all. And just because somebody else went through something doesn't mean you have to go through something. So we have to start changing our mindset and how we view the things that we may encounter in life, the things that we have in life, because in that sense, it changes everything else in our lives, and that's how you revolutionize your destiny.
And so many people are just like what you said. They'll choke themselves off before they even try. They'll tell you, "No, I can't do that. No, that's not going to happen. Right. I don't care if it's in a relationship," and and they don't speak. People get on my nerve when they don't speak life into the situation. They don't speak love into the situation. They find everything wrong, and then they want to sit up and complain. They want to tell you all day long, "Oh, woe is me." And then when you try, "Oh, I don't know why I can't get a good relationship," or "I don't know why I can't find a good job." If you don't shut up with the whining, get up off of your behind. And see, I'm just hardcore. I've learned to say to people when they come to me, "Oh, let me ask you this. Are you venting or do you want a solution?" And then when you stop them in the track, then they got to go stop and think, "Well, do I just want to vent or do I want a solution?" You are offering concrete solutions to situations that are dead, and they can bring them to life. So I, for one, want to say thank you for listening to God and actually sitting down and getting there. Now, why do you think people, they hinder their own progression?
The number one thing, Mother Love, is fear. Is literally fear, and we oftentimes allow our fear to suffocate our faith. And it's a sad thing, but it's so very true. And again, I think in terms, especially in the African American community, we are some of the most, I think, gullible people that live, because we believe everything, and at the same time we believe nothing. And you know,
I thought it was me. I thought it was me. I thought it was me. So either you loopy with me.
It's not just you. I mean, but think about it. Let's look at real. I mean, you know, a lot of people say, "Well, what are you talking about?" Well, let's look at some real life facts. I look at people like Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, people who had a different outlook on life, and they knew in doing what they were going to do. They didn't know how big Microsoft was going to be when Bill Gates first started. Mark Zuckerberg didn't know how big Facebook was going to be when he first started it. But it was something that they did, and because of how they thought about long-term or what it could do, they pursued it with a passion. And so many of us, we look at everybody else and we say it can never happen to me. It'll never be me. I'll never find happiness. I'll never find a relationship like so-and-so and so-and-so. I'll never be rich. And it's like it's a tirade of negative thought processes. It's what I call thinking. And we have to start filling our minds with faith-filled thoughts. It's not that you got to believe in the same God I believe in. That's not what I'm talking about. But you have to start motivating yourself daily, influencing yourself. Surround you. Now, Hill Harper, who I had the pleasure of traveling around this country with on the UNCF HBCU Empower Me tour, he said to me one day while we was on tour, he said, "Mo, you have to surround yourself with people who have the same vision for you as you have for yourself."
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't want to see your vision. They don't, and exactly. they want to pour vinegar on your vision, because it's like, who do you think you are? How do you think you're gonna dream like that? And why you going? I'm like, I call them the dream killers. And I get the dream.
You better stop it. You better stop. Don't you know that's my turn? That's my turn.
Well, you got that from me, because I've been around the dream killers for a long time. I got folks still trying to kill my dream, and I just like, you know what? You need to go somewhere and get a life. That's what you need. You need to go get a life and go get you some business and see your way out of mine. That's what you need to do.
Crazy. Now, see, I knew we had a kindred, like-minded spirit, because I call people that's exactly what I call those types of people, are dream killers. And the reason why I call them dream killers, because I say they've given up their will to fight, so they want to kill your dream.
Yeah. And then wait a minute, and then they gonna get mad at you the more successful that you are. Just be prepared for that. And it's so unfortunate, especially in the African American community, where we really need to band together to lift one another up and stop with all this naysaying and all this dream killing. And if I can't help you realize your vision and your dream, I'm gonna get out the way. I'm going to get out the way, and I'm going to do nothing but pray good thoughts to come your way and good things to come around you. I don't have time for all of that. And it's just so many people. I just don't, I have never been able to understand. I've been on the planet for quite some time now, and I still don't get, and I'm concerned about our young people. And that's why I'm glad you wrote this book in this time, in this day, because the subject matter is so very, very relevant. We got so many young people that are, as you said earlier, fearful to even have a dream, fearful to have a vision. And I know, and you talked about the importance of having a support system around you to live your dream. Now, how do you handle the dream killers?
I literally do what I talk about in my book is it's a mind over matter. I don't mind because you don't matter. What you say, and we might laugh about it, but I think
that's
if
the truth,
a lot of us adopted that a lot more, and you know what? It's okay if you don't agree with what I'm doing. It's okay, because I have a different calling than you have. Right. I have a different audience than you have, and it shouldn't matter to you, because I really don't mind that you're trying to do the same thing that I do. For me, keeping people around me who sincerely cares about me, it's not about what I can do for them, or it's not about what my accolades or successes are, because they have discovered who they are. So they no longer feel like they have to live their lives through me. And I think that's the problem with a lot of us, especially these people that, you know, people get on you, or you think you better than everybody else because you go to college. What? like, where did you get that mentality from?
I got one for that. I got one for that, because I got the same thing. You think you better than me because you got a husband. You think you better than me because you went to college. You think you better than me because you living in California. I said, sweetie, I'm not better than you. What the problem you have with me is I make smarter choices than you. And so now if you upset about the fact that I make smarter choices, what you need to do is get a life. And that's really what it is. That's really what it is with people. They see, and when you're successful and you're around a lot of naysayers and dream killers, and it can be, the sad part about it is more often than not, it's family and friends, people you already know.
Wow.
Strangers don't treat you like that. I remember my sister and them used to tell me, you treat strangers better than you treat us. I go, because they treat me better than you do. You think just because I'm your sister, I'm going to be your whipping girl, or because I'm your niece, you can talk to me any kind of way, or because we friends that you can treat me any kind of way. It's not going to happen. And I think a lot of people don't demand